This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet, a slim front pocket wallet available in carbon fiber and titanium. With more than 250,000 sold, a lifetime guarantee and free shipping, get 10% off with the code GOLDFISH at ridgewallet.com. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Wednesday means it's Wild Card Wednesday here in Instant Deck Tech land, and we have a super wild modern list to check out today. This is Privileged Worship Block. You probably remember from a long time ago, Troll Worship. Well, this is kind of a different take on worship that instead of being trolly, it's built around just making the worship block as ridiculously hard as possible and then winning the game eventually, maybe way in the future. And this one comes to us from Air Farmer, who took it to a 5-0 finish in a competitive Modern League on Magic Online. So congrats to Air Farmer on a super sweet deck. A quick reminder before we break down Privileged Worship Block for Modern. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So, Privileged Worship Block is built around, well, first off, some mana dorks. The idea of this deck is basically to ramp into our combo pieces as quickly as possible. So we start off with Birds of Paradise, Noble Hierarch on turn 1, just creatures that are adding extra mana, accelerating us into our endless 4 and 5 mana plays as quickly as possible. Because the idea of this deck is to set up a very prison-esque type block and make sure that we do that before we're actually dead. So after Birds and Noble Hierarch on turn 1, we have Wall of Roots, Sylvan Caryatid on turn 2 as even more ramping creatures. Sylvan Caryatid is especially nice because Worship, of course, requires a creature on the battlefield for it to keep us alive, and having a hexproof creature like Sylvan Caryatid makes it harder for our opponent to actually deal with our creatures and helps make sure that we have a creature on the battlefield. So first couple turns of the game, ramp. Then we start assembling our lock. So our lock kind of has 3 pieces. Piece number 1, the namesake card, Worship. So Worship, 4 mana enchantment. It makes it so as long as we have a creature, just any one creature, damage that would reduce our life total to less than 1. So Kill Us reduces our life total to 1 instead. So if we have a creature and Worship, we basically can't die to damage. The problem with Worship is, first off, it can be killed, or our creatures can be killed, but we have a plan for that. Combo piece number 2 is Privileged Position. So Privileged Position makes it so all of our other permanents have hexproof, which means our opponent can't really kill our creatures very easily. They can't kill our Worship very easily because they can't target our Worship. They can't target our creatures, and if we ever get 2 Privileged Positions on the battlefield, they're giving each other hexproof. So in that sense, the lock is very secure. Once we get Worship and 2 Privileged Positions, or even just 1 really, it's very difficult for us to die to damage. The problem is, there are a couple of ways around the Worship block that can be problematic. Something like Collective Brutality, which drains our life. Shaman of the Pack, things that drain our life don't technically deal damage, so they can kill us even through the Worship block. So piece number 3 of the lock is Ley Line of Sanctity. So Ley Line of Sanctity just makes it so we can't be targeted. So even if our opponent has a Collective Brutality, or something along those lines that would cause us to lose life and kill us through the Worship block, they just can't target us. So with this assembled, we will have hexproof Worship, hexproof creatures, hopefully hexproof Privileged Positions as well if we get 2 of them, hexproof Ley Line of Sanctity, so we also have hexproof and can't be targeted. And at that point, it's really hard for basically any deck to kill us. I guess our opponent could maybe mill us out, they could annihilate us with an Emrakul or something. There's some very weird fringe things that could get through the lock, but for the most part, if we can get that assembled, we're very safe. To set all this up, along with the mana dorks to ramp into it, we have Idyllic Tutor, which can just grab whatever combo piece we're missing. Worship if we need it. If we have the Worship, Privileged Position to protect it. If we have both pieces, we can get the Ley Line of Sanctity to cut off the remaining outs our opponent might have. We can also use it to tutor up Courser of Crewfix, which is another weird way to cut out some outs. So for example, a Vapor Snag, if our creatures didn't have hexproof, bouncing one of our creatures, that 1 loss of life could kill us if we were all the way down to 1. Courser just gains us a little bit of life and keeps us out of that danger zone. Also allows us to keep cracking our fetch lands, which is pretty relevant. We have a ton of fetch lands in this deck. If we get down to 1 life with our worship out, we would be unable to crack our fetches, but playing a fetch gains us a life, which lets us crack the fetch, which is relevant to our deck. We also have Heroic Intervention, which is just kind of like the catch-all. It's like a one-shot privilege position that just protects all of our stuff, also makes it all indestructible. So if our opponent has a Supreme Verdict or something, another potential out that could be cut off, which would be our opponent sweeping away our creatures to get out from under the worship block. So just another form of protection for our lock. As far as actually winning the game, we got 2 plans. So one is we eventually just play our random mana dorks. We get down to Westfall Abbey, flip it around to a 9/7 indestructible, lifelinking, flying Ormondal, and eventually we'll just beat our opponent down with the Ormondal. If for some reason that plan's not going to work, we have Mistfall Plains. So Mistfall Plains, we got a bunch of white enchantments. We just keep putting random cards on the bottom of our deck, and we literally just let our opponent play through their entire deck. Our opponent keeps drawing cards. We are also drawing cards, but our library's not getting smaller because every turn we're just putting something on the bottom with X-Proof Mistfall Plains thanks to privilege position. So after a million turns or so, our opponent will eventually run out of cards in their library, draw on an empty library, mill themselves out. The other key land is Dryad Arbor. So Dryad Arbor with a million fetch lands is another way we can sneak out our creatures. So one of the ways our opponent could get out from under our lock would be a sweeper, especially if we don't have Heroic Intervention, because a sweeper doesn't target, so they could blow up all of our creatures and get out from under worship. Day of Judgment, Wrath of God, Damnation, anything like that would be bad. But we can just leave up a fetch land uncracked on the battlefield, and then after the sweeper, tutor up a Hexproof Dryad Arbor to have that creature on the battlefield to make sure we are not going to die and that our worship is activated. Otherwise, fetch lands, Shimshak lands, some basic lands. Sideboard wise, we get more lock pieces, Greater Oromancy for additional ways to protect our enchantments, Solemnity to tighten up the Infect matchup. Infect is one of those decks that can sneak past our worship block because it's not dealing damage, it's dealing Infect, so staying at 1 life doesn't do anything. Sigarda to have a big threat to close out the game quicker, also protects against sacrifice abilities. Rest in Peace for graveyards, Beast Within for a bit of removal, and that is Privileged Worship Lock for Modern, and that's our instant deck tag for today. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.